welcome to MAHA's podcast with I'm Dr. Lisa and Kristine is here. And today we are going to be talking about allergies, and we're going to be specific to seasonal allergies. I'm glad because she just waved. She didn't say hi.
I did a little high, a little high.
So we're gonna actually put this podcast towards seasonal allergies because as we were talking, we feel like allergies is such a broad topic, right? There's different types of allergies. There's food allergies, and there's different type of allergies like dog, cat, like all different things. So today we're going to be specific more to seasonal, and I'm going to begin with the functional side of things, and we're going to roll into the homeopathic side, but they kind of go together. So we'll banter back and forth. But I wanted to start, Kristine, with this because if you go to, I think it's episode 3 where it's my story, Dr. Lisa's MAHA story. I'm not going to retell the story, but my story is literally what brought me to this very place today was seasonal allergies. So if you go back to
for you.
Right? So if you go back to the story of my MAHA story, I'm going to briefly mention it because I didn't do much and I got over allergies. Like I don't really have them today. And I'll tell you what I do to prevent them. So I'm a really good story because my whole childhood was suffering from these, and we all have different stories. Like Lori came on was talking about her, again, her allergy was more topical and to medicines. Mine was specifically seasonal, meaning that like when we rolled into this time of year right now in Jersey in May, when the pollen is all over our cars, I am like so allergic to grass and pollen that when I breathed it in, it would start with the, sinus pressure and the sinus drip. And then I'd wake up and I'd be a kid, right? I'd wake up in the morning with the crusty eyes and the headaches. I always felt like there was a pressure of somebody on my head. And the drip would get to my throat, give me laryngitis. And then I always had bronchitis. So every spring I was super sick. And, my mom took me to the doctors because that's what it was back then. And you would do, I guess, antihistamines. I remember Sudafed being a big thing, which is crazy because that was on and off the market, right? Like,
yeah,
I think that
they said it didn't. Well, then it was addictive too. I think people were like having to need it to breathe after using it a while.
Yeah, and that's the problem with some of the medications is that they become addicted, and the body doesn't really know how to handle histamine correctly, as we'll get into. So then I tried allergy shots, and just nothing worked. So it was my whole childhood of going to the pediatrician and getting all these concoctions and nothing ever working. And then I got worse. I got worse where it became fall allergies, which here in Jersey, I can't be around hay at all, can't go to a farm, can't go pumpkin picking. And then the other thing is the mold when the leaves fall. So it's beautiful here. We have trees everywhere. When they fall, they get really moldy and wet. That was another trigger. So was getting really, really sick. Oh, and then what happens is the more medications you take, the more you get sick. And it just chronically became a problem. So by the time I was in college, I was always sick. So my story really quickly, which leads to some of the things you can do to help allergies. That's why I'm sharing it, is I hurt my neck. And that was more of an injury because I was at the time teaching aerobics and being a personal trainer in gyms. And I just hurt my neck, woke up with torticollis and I didn't know what it was, like 19 years old to call my mom going, something's wrong. My neck won't, detach from my shoulder. And so I went to a chiropractor there out near campus and he fixed it. But that was when I didn't get my first seasonal allergy attack and I wasn't sick. And I was kind of like, whoa, buddy. What? And that's when I asked him, I said, does chiropractic have anything to do with your sinuses? And he just lit up and he was like, got me the chart. And this was my MAHA moment. But this is what really, for me, was the beginning of getting rid of allergies, was when I got adjusted. It was modulating the nervous system, right? So what's happening is when you get adjusted, you are strengthening the immune system. You're also allowing the brain to communicate via the nerves, through the, central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, all that stuff. You're allowing the body to communicate to the organs. So you get better lymph drainage, you get better sinus drainage. Now these areas are functioning as they're meant to be. So when you get adjusted, I know people don't really understand, but you're normalizing that autonomic nervous system. You're getting it to regulate. And you're also getting the immune system. Every time you get adjusted, you have T cell boosts, you have these immune system, and they
Oh,
can,
wow.
they can actually test this. You can get adjustment, they draw the blood and they test it to see that the immune system responds. A lot of times the immune system's in a sympathetic overdrive, which means it's always going and it's stressed out. So the chiropractic adjustment puts it in the off drive, which is the parasympathetic drive. So also the little bones, you know, in your vertebra, in your spine, protect they protect the spinal cord. They protect that fluid. They're protecting the nervous system, and that's a divine innate intelligence that's driving. We say above, down, inside out. That's the healing of chiropractic.
Yeah.
So with
No,
that
same with
means
homeopathy.
homeopathy, same thing.
Mhm.
It's above, down, inside out, and we just swear that's the healing of the body, meaning that that life force is going to go from the brain down the spine, and then it's going to go from the inside, right where your spine is, out. So like a tree, right where the branches are going to go out. And if that's not modulated and that's not working properly, you do get sick. So different areas of the spine actually have certain nerves that go to certain organs. So in asthma, we'll talk about the thoracic spine has a lot of the nerves going to the lungs, but for sinuses, it's eyes, ears, nose, throat, and is more of your cervical spine. That's where those nerves are really working well. So that's what I did. I started getting adjusted, and I was pre-med at the time. And I like this, like, you don't understand. Like this how you felt, right? Like this took
Like, I don't
away.
need this.
What?
Then you're like, I don't need this.
I know. This took away something I was struggling with forever. And I was like, that's it. I just have to get adjusted. And the guy's like, yeah. And I was like, well, sign me up. Like, it's just like, if I could help one person. And I was that type of kid that I didn't keep my mouth shut. So when I went to the MDs, the pediatrician was probably like, oh, great, she's coming in again. Because I would ask a bunch of questions and I was always like, why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? Why does it come back? Why does it come back? And he didn't like me, you know, answering all these, asking these questions because they don't have answers for them.
Yeah, it's like delicately held together. Just don't question it.
Yeah, my mom would be like on the way, now, Lisa, don't ask questions. And I was like, oh, ask the doctor questions? So I just knew medicine wasn't for me. And that's my story of driving and jumping into chiropractic. But it's chiropractic that took away my allergies. And I just got better and better and better and better. And I have to give credit too that I was out of the scenario of New Jersey where the pollen and the mold and that stuff's high. I was in California where it's a bit drier. So that helped too. So with allergies, another thing you want to do is try to, as best you can. I mean, you can't be in Jersey and get rid of pollen, right? And it just happened to be, not that pollen's not in California, but you know how it is here. Like we drive around our cars and it doesn't matter what color it is, it's totally green, you know? So some of the other things that you want to do is if you
Can I ask a question? If you
yeah,
use the clicker to adjust instead of like the other way, is that still as beneficial?
it really is. At first, when I got to school, I was like, how could this thing actually work? But you're putting an impulse into the joint, and it does. It can help shift that or lift that bone up a little bit too and help that joint. Yeah, it does. It helps stimulate the nervous system. So, yeah. But when I
Because I
first,
do better with that.
yeah, you do. You do better with the
Yeah, because of Ehlers-Danlos, I feel like it's a little more gentle.
yeah.
You know, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just was curious.
No, it's a great question. People might have that question. So in a holistic approach, I would definitely suggest chiropractic for people. And then also when I was out there, one of the chiropractors that were one of our teachers recommended the herb echinacea or golden seal. So I started taking echinacea, and they said that you only take it for the time that you start having that first sniffle, that first drip, and it dries it up. It really just helps, and it boosts the immune system. Golden seal is kind of the same type of herb, but echinacea is supposed to be super, super helpful. I felt like it would dry it up too. So you're supposed to take the echinacea several times a day for 2 or 3 weeks when you have those symptoms to help you through them. I can't remember the dosage, but if a pill was about 500 milligrams, I just read the directions and take a little bit more when you have the symptom. So echinacea, golden seal is kind of the same thing. And vitamin C is another thing that I do. So for now, what I do now to prevent it is, so back then it was echinacea and getting adjusted. So it's just kind of like all I did and it worked.
Amazing.
So I also today take, and this is where you'll come in. I do the homeopathic pellets that are, it's just by boron. It's a sinus calm or something. It's like, it's a combination of homeopathic remedies.
Yeah, they have a couple. This one, the allergy calm, but there's
Yes.
the sinus calm. I think that one's more for like pain, but you said that you get the sinus pain,
I
so.
get really bad sinus pain
Mhm.
and nothing comes out. You can't blow your nose. Like it's all back there. It's gross.
It
Um,
is back there, though.
drips
It's not
down.
just swollen.
It's all in the back of me. It's nothing in the front. Like it's not like my nose um
Be
runs or
easy.
anything like that. So yeah, so that company I use the boron. I use vitamin C and I like a liquid vitamin. I started with tablets and I found out that the one that works best is, I think we talked about this before. I love the company Quicksilver by it's Quicksilver Scientific. I don't have any with me, but I should have brought it. They have a liposomal vitamin C. And what I love about it is the C is like a nanoparticle. It's super small. And they wrap it in a phospholipid, which is a fat. And you actually you swish it around your mouth, keep it underneath your tongue. And then you swallow it. But it gets absorbed from under the tongue. So the body thinks it's a fat. So it absorbs like almost all of it, like 99% of it. So you're really getting the big bang for your buck. And versus when you take supplements, they go through your digestive tract and we really don't absorb, 100% of our supplements, unfortunately. So I did the vitamin C. I would do the homeopathic. I also do, which I swear by this, bee pollen.
Oh, yeah.
And if I don't have bee pollen on hand, I'll do natural honey or raw honey. And I take that, I start that. This is really important if you're really having a bad time when you get into like May when there's all the pollen. You have to take it before that. You take a little bit at a time, tiny bit, and then each week you just build up and take a little bit more. So if you did a fourth a teaspoon, then you want to would maybe bring it up to a half a teaspoon, then bring it up to like 3/4 of a teaspoon, get to a teaspoon. You're putting the pollen in you and you're getting your body used to it before it's like all over the place. And you're like, I'm dying. So that was a huge thing because I still get a little bit of a drip. And when I start getting the drip, I always start the bee pollen in March because I just like, oh, I can't die in May and June. I have to be able to get through May and June. And but if I start getting a drip, I might put some honey on my tea and my throat starts getting sore. Even with a cold, I always put raw honey on a teaspoon and I'll take that 2 or 3 times a day and put it in my tea. It's also antimicrobial. Honey is just really, really great, So vitamin C, honey, neti pot. So that's another thing. The sinus pot. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, we use the squishy one. That's like the
Yeah,
turbo.
my sister loves that one. But back in when I was in my 20s, I only knew about the one that's looks like a genie lamp. I call it the
But
genie.
I can't do it without my entire shirt being soaking wet.
It's
So.
so messy. But I learned it in chiropractic school, so I might have to go back to the story where I might have to add that because it was echinacea, the neti pot, which is a sinus pot, and the adjustment. So I think it was those 3 things then. But the neti pot is you just do warm, like very not hot water, warm water with I think they give you a saline solution or I just use warm water, but they say to use a saline solution because I guess because there's no microbes in it and a little bit of salt. And it's messy. And then you got to move your head a certain way to try to get it like through. But it worked for me because, like I said, it was stuck in the back. It wasn't like I could just blow my nose and get it out. So you kind of get this angle, put it in one nose, and it goes through the sinuses on the other side, and it comes out, and it's gross. But my husband now just says, Lisa, just go into the ocean and go under. And when you come up, all your snot will come out. You'll clear your head off. Just go swimming in the ocean. And I'm just like, no, I'm using the neti pot.
It takes a while to warm up a little.
It's 55 degrees.
Yeah.
He's like, we'll put the wetsuit on. I mean, what's I do? It's like I have no answer. He's kind of right. Like, but
that's funny.
Right?
Yeah, no, we have
go ahead.
We have multiple sinus squeeze bottles all around. Like we all use it. Just because it's good sometimes.
Some other things you can do is lymphatic drainage too. This is really big. I have a thyroid issue, so I started really getting into this recently. I didn't really do it back then, but it made sense. I probably should have. It's all getting congested up here, your lymph is your garbage center, right? That's going to be what removes your waste. You get all this garbage up here. It's got to go through the lymph, right? And I'm swallowing it. So let's get it out through the lymph. So, you know, you want to, your lymph is going to run like down here in the chain, right? If you're listening, it's from your ear, you know, down the side of your neck. And so you want to just go down on a downstroke. You don't want to go up, right? So you're just kind of going on a downstroke and just stimulating your lymph. So you could look that up. I'm not a lymph expert, but there's people who work on that. But that's actually a really good thing, helps the sinuses. You could also stimulate the sinuses before you do the lymph, you know. We do have a sinus actual adjustment where we come in and we just kind of press on them and open them up like this. So we do work on the sinuses. That was part of the chiropractic adjustment also. The other thing you want to look at too is, now we're only doing seasonal allergies, so we're not going to be looking at food and all that, but because you're being exposed to these allergens, right? We're talking seasonal. So they're typically, seasonal allergies are what we call inhalant allergies, meaning you're inhaling dust, pollen, molds from trees, the bushes, shrubs. You're inhaling something. So you might want to think about a filter in your house, because there's mold in the house too. That's another source. We all have exposure to mold. We all have exposure to dust. If there's a dog or cat in the house, so they have those HEPA, is it HPEA filters?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
really,
we have a few.
yeah.
We have dogs.
I think we have a few in our rooms. My sons have them in their rooms, but you could buy like a $50 one that's a good filter, and they sell them bigger too if you have more for a living room. You could actually, you know, put them on your house air filtering and stuff like that. But that's something to help you get the stuff out of the air in your house. And so that's something to think about. The other thing too is the leaky gut part that I don't really want to get deep into. But if you're having a histamine release, so what happens with seasonal allergies is when you're getting exposed to the antigen, which again would be what we just talked about, pollen, mold, dust, stuff like that, trees, bushes, and it's just, you've been breathing it in all day, you're going to release histamine from mast cells, which Kristine is like an expert with the mast cells. But it's your body is releasing this histamine, which is creating this inflammation. So hence you get all this mucus. And so what the immune system does is it releases cytokines, and there's a whole bunch of them. But they're like Pac-Man. They're not friendly, and they're there to protect you, but they really. Why are you laughing?
Because I don't know if you heard my dog just snore really loud.
I figured it was our dog.
It was better than him scratching on the door the whole time. I figure I'll just let him in and he can sleep, but that was a loud one. Sorry.
It's okay. So I'm just saying, when you get exposed to the antigen that's creating the allergy, the body's going to respond by the mast cell releasing the histamine. And so that's why you were given an antihistamine, which Kristine's going to go in and talk about some homeopathic stuff that helps with that. So, but when you look at the gut, if you're responding, and we're not going to get into this today, but if you're responding to food allergies as well, and food sensitivities, your gut cells are going to be dumping more histamine. So sometimes when I'm dealing with allergies with patients, I will go through the whole thing I just said, like chiropractic, we'll look at vitamin C, you know, we're going to look at the echinacea, the neti pot. There's a couple other things you can do, like steam inhalation and stuff like that, and the filters in the house. But I'm also going to tell them, if your gut cells are attacking foods, you're giving off more histamine. And that's the point. I just want you to realize that sometimes your allergy problem is being made worse and bombarded with, and also possibly a food allergy or food sensitivity. I'm just going to leave it there because there's so much with that. But you want to address the leaky gut. And also with functional, we would also address the immune system and the body's ability to detoxify and get rid of some of this garbage. So you're also going to look at the liver. Milk thistle is a great herb that supports liver detoxification. So I absolutely love that. We've used that with plenty of patients. A lot of people like NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. But I also love, I love glutathione as well. They work together. You need cysteine to make glutathione, but you need both of those amino acids in the liver to detoxify and get rid of things. So you also want to, you know, support the immune system. which NAC and glutathione would do, but they also support that detoxification system. So as we're talking about, functional, this is where we would go with a patient to help them boost their immune system, make sure that their gut's healthy, also make sure their liver's working properly, but also, getting up there in the sinuses with the chiropractic and the echinacea and the vitamin C and stuff like that. The last thing I could possibly add here is your diet and lifestyle. So definitely an anti-inflammatory diet while you're going through a sinus thing. So the number one mucus making food is dairy. So that's something I have to add that I did do in chiropractic school. I gave up dairy. When you start getting the first sign of a sinus issue, drip, whether it's itchy eyes, whatever it is for you versus me, cut back on the dairy because it's just a mucus forming food. So I definitely would get off of dairy. Hydrate, drink a lot of water. That helps flush with the lymphatics, right? And the digestive tract. Move, right? Move. Make sure you move because you're moving things through. Keep your moving. I do believe the sunlight is super important, and that's what I'm going to leave you with, and we'll talk to her. I will tell you right now, I can't tell you how many family trips. So we didn't fly to Florida. We always drove. We were the family in the station wagon, stuck all in there, 6 of us driving down to Florida, and my parents have a condo down there. So I can't tell you how many times I was like not feeling, and we'd go in like summer, so I remember having like a sinus issue or something and not feeling good. And my mom would say, Lisa, as soon as you get down there, you'll get in the sun and you'll feel better. I know you. And I'm all stuffed up and I'm like, I don't feel well, or I had a cold or something. And as soon
It's like 90 degrees
by the pool and sat like in the sun, right? That sunlight we talked about. That really, amazingly, I'm all better. I can't tell you how much the sunlight, vitamin D, and then we get away from the blue light and the things we've talked about. And I don't want to get into that, but you can go back to our other podcast, which is about the sun and the blue light and the red light. So that really, in the grounding, all of that really, really is going to help as well. So I really want to hear about the homeopathic because I tend to, with me, I've done homeopathic for my kids the whole entire time they were little. So anytime they had a symptom of something, I'd run to Pete's store and I would be like, okay, we get the book out. We didn't have internet, remember? So it's just like, what did we just use with what we had? And Pete and I would look things up and we would get the best symptom we can and we would take the pellets and that's the remedy we would use. And I'm telling you, I know, I don't want to jinx myself, but my kids, and I did chiropractic with my kids, right? So there was like no ear infections and they didn't have the strep and all that stuff. So I am a big proponent of homeopathy. I cheat a little bit as I got older and I run and I get like the allergy calm or the sinus calm, or I get the, how do you say that one? The one I always call it oscillocilium, but
I call it oscillococcinum. I might not
call
even
it
say it right either.
Nowhere near that. It's oscillococcinum. That's for like flu-like symptoms. So I kind of go with what she's going to talk about, and you can address this because this is my question. I tend to go with a remedy that has a lot of things in it because I'm just running to like CVS and I'm like, okay, I need my allergy calm or I need my sinus calm or whatever. Or there's a cold one. And I absolutely love their honey, their cough. If you have a cough, Boreon makes a
the chest ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, the chest ball. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've used homeopathy. That's what I use for my kids. So
that's awesome. I wish we were still in touch back then because my life could have been a lot different.
You'd be running to me to Pete's like store.
Yeah, I wish I knew about Pete back then. Oh my gosh.
If you don't know who Pete is, he owns Nature's Nutrition in right near my office in Brick, and he's a pharmacist. And so he had a pharmacy and he just started in a little tiny aisle adding and this is, you got to understand, this is Jersey back in 1997. And I'm laughing because there was nothing here. And so I was driving all the way to Princeton. I think I told you the story where I would, look for a Whole Oats I don't think there was no Whole Foods at the time. I think it was called Whole Oats, and looking for things that were on the corner, every other corner in California. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So he just, now today, I think he gave up his pharmacy. There's no pharmacy there. It's a full health food store. So he's just awesome.
He has the best selection of homeopathics in person for sure.
Yeah. And they know their stuff. His whole family, they run the store now. I knew our kids swam together at the YMCA. So yeah, they're all great people. They're just great people. But that's
my life selection for everything.
That's how I learned. I learned from him, and he learned. I guess we learned together because we were trying to figure it out. But it was great. Um,
Yeah,
so
it makes a
also,
difference.
yeah, when you're gonna laugh when the lab testing for functional started coming out, it was so raw in the beginning, and we had this little he had this little office in the back, and we used to like try to do some of the testing, and it was just crazy. It was such a great journey when you meet
Oh,
these. I find
he does it
people.
there? He
No,
does
not
it there?
anymore. Now they just refer
Oh,
me. Yeah, and then
I
I
see.
refer people over there to buy the supplements there, so it works out nicely.
Yeah, smart.
But tell me about what like I
Okay.
want to get more specific with you with homeopathy because it's allergies are a thing. It's a big thing here.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. I'm lucky that I don't really suffer from seasonal allergies anymore. I have a birch allergy and we have a huge birch tree in our back, but it's only for a couple weeks that I have like a little bit of a problem. I'm going to start with a couple things that aren't homeopathic, just that have worked for me over the years. And when I do have allergies, like I'll start with just like my nose will start to run or I'll start to feel a drip. And I use this X Clear spray. And I just do one spray on each side and it totally dries it up.
What's in
So
it? Is
um
it homeopathic?
there's grapefruit.
X clear, or is it just clear?
It's XLEAR.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
I don't, oh, duh. How about I put it in front of the camera? XL and it's
Oh yeah, I
backwards.
see it. X-
XLEAR. You could get this at the food store. It's got grapefruit extract oil.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's not homeopathic. It's kind of just a purified water, xylitol, sodium chloride, grapefruit seed extract. But I don't know, it works. So that's
They
just
use
something to
grape.
kind of
They use grape. I can't say it. Grapefruit seed
grapefruit
extract
seed.
for it's one of the things with removing toxins. Like
Oh,
I know it limes mold, like any of those weird toxins that are in the body. It's one.
oh.
It's not like that's probably what it's for. Yeah, to get in there and
It works so fast, it's ridiculous. Like I can't even believe it. And I'm gonna show you this other bottle too, just in case. I can't find the one exact. And then what I'll do is Highlands. These are cell salts, tissue
oh
salts,
yes,
they're called.
yes.
It's a form of homeopathy. It's similar, but a little bit different because it works kind of on like nutritional deficiencies. This is Cali Myrrh, and Nat Myrrh is the one for like nasal allergies and things like that. But Cali Myrrh also handles like ears and throat. So I'll take one of each right after the X Clear just to like keep it all
Can I
under
ask you
control.
a question?
Yeah.
Do you because pretty much and I can go back if I didn't clarify like but where I'm at now is when I do a little bit of prevention is my point. But when you get the symptom, the first symptom, is that when you start? So you would start with both those salts?
You can use the tissue salts, like the cell salts, different than homeopathy, where homeopathy is you have to only use it when, but with the cell salts, I was able to start using them like I used my Zyrtec and my Pepcid to like keep my histamine issues at bay. So even if I wasn't symptomatic, I could use it in that form. Morning and night if I needed to. I didn't. I only, morning was enough. Um, but if you took it both, it won't affect you. Like if so, like different from homeopathy where you only want to do it when you have symptoms.
Okay.
But that's what made it so easy for me to get off of the Zyrtec and the Pepcid was that was like a replacement. And actually my friend whose daughter I'm helping with mast cell, I was like, you know what, let's just do the cell salts and start there. And then whatever pops up in between, we'll treat with the homeopathic and we'll see how that goes.
That's a great
Because
approach.
that's how I did it. Um, so there's cell salts for everything. And this is such a good book. It's from Amazon. It's like $3.99. The Biochemic
Get it.
Prescriber.
Write it down.
Percent. Okay, I can't read backwards. Percent.
Biochemic. Here, read it. Put it up here.
Biochemic,
Read it.
biochemic prescriber.
Biochemic prescriber. I can't see
And
the
it's
first part, but it's
Prashant. Prashant is his first name. S, and then his last name is Shah, And what it does is it gives the name of like every cell salt. And then there's about like 3 or 4 pages about everything that it helps with.
I like that.
So, and in different forms. And then like there's other parts of the book that like list it in different ways. But I mean, I don't even put this away. I literally just use it all the time because I use it for my dogs too. Like
Well, that's
there's one that I give my one dog, Ferrum Foss. It's for any kind of inflammation in like stage 1. So it seems to work so great for when his one shoulder hurts. And then I use, these aren't allergy related, but just the fact that you're able to do so much with just the cell salts. There's people that just use cell salts. That's how effective they could be. So that's definitely worth your $3.99, that book.
now.
But
So the
so the
cell salt, Calimer, Calimer.
Kalimur, Kali, and then MUR, and Natmur, Natmur. Kalimur is for the throat and the ears, and the Natmur is for the nasal, but also the skin. And they also have a list of other things that they deal with. Like Natmur is for like when it evens out your fluid in your body. So if you're too dry or if you're too wet, like if you sweat too much or you have like watery eyes, it just balances it out so that you have like an even keel. Another thing I wanted to mention was you have a histamine bucket. So like when it's allergy season, you know, that bucket's getting filled. So then when you have foods that are high histamine, it kind of just, so if you adjust like to that when it's allergy season, that can also help. I do that. And
Yeah, I
then
would suggest
go ahead.
like low histamine foods is what you're saying.
Yeah, like try to like dial it down, maybe not do the tomatoes or cut some things out if you're really struggling with your regular allergies. Um, Shiatsu, when I did facials, I did a lot of shiatsu massage, and that can be really beneficial. It's kind of like the lymphatic drainage, but it's more just like pressure points, and you can look it up. There's videos on YouTube, I'm sure, about what, pressure points to, in what order to go in. And I've been doing lymphatic drainage like every day and the vibration plate. But what I noticed was, do you have a dry brush?
I do, but I don't use it as much as I should. I'm going to be honest.
Let me tell you, I should show you. I should get one. You can cover so much more surface area with the dry brush.
Ah, our next.
Yup. Yeah, let me grab mine. Sorry. I probably should have had this already. But so I
I
start
have the same
here.
one.
I do you? Start here,
Mhm.
and then I do this, but okay.
Just to stimulate
Oh,
the droplets down here, right?
yeah, like these little holes right here.
Yeah.
And then this, like, okay, so if I go like this, okay, we're getting a little, whatever, a little contact. This thing is like, I mean, you can see, and then you do one of these things, and it makes such a difference. It
Yeah.
just has that pressure like all over, then instead of just like using your fingers.
I'm
And
gonna try that because I always feel like I'm just pulling
yeah,
my skin down.
yeah,
I have a
where this is
goiter here.
more,
A big way to, deal with thyroid is I have to do the lymph. If I go like this, you can see this whole side it's a
it's
mess.
not that noticeable. You just because you
You
pointed
know,
it out a
yeah,
little, but not much. It's good.
I know it's there. But yeah, I do
Yeah.
that, but I don't use the brush. And the brush is right there, by the way, in a little basket. So
Yeah, and then you pull it down
you have
here,
to
and then
learn
you bring
something
it
every day.
down, and then you do under the armpits, and then I do the abdomen, and then the groin, and then behind the knees. It's like the big six or whatever they call.
Yeah, for lymphatic
So
drainage, right?
I try to do that before I get on the vibration plate. Okay.
No, I like that
So
you brought that up because I brought up the lymphatic drainage.
yeah,
You
it
want to do
works.
cranial sinuses, neck, but yeah, do the rest.
Do your whole body.
The brush is great.
I have to. Because I've had so many abdominal surgeries. Like I had my appendix burst. So they cut me like hip to hip when I was 14.
Oh,
And then I've had a couple other abdominal surgeries and a C-section. So like stuff's not moving. So I have to like
manually.
manually And I love the vibration plate, and it's so funny. My dog even gets on it. Like, are you kidding me? I have to lock him out of the room to do it because the whole entire time he's crying to get on. He loves it. So,
Oh my
and it helps
gosh.
with pain. Like, it's weird how it helps with pain, but it just kind of like lets out all that like built up, like stress, I guess. And it
Yeah.
just helps in so many ways. Okay, so now I'll get on to the homeopathy. Sorry. Oh, and magnesium. Epsom salt foot soaks, magnesium mops up extra histamine. So that's another way that you can like lower the level a little bit.
So wait,
Those
stop
are,
there. Which,
yeah,
I know, I'm sorry, but I ask questions. I
yeah.
told you, this annoys the MDs,
Now I get it. No.
sometimes teachers, but, um, which type of magnesium? Because
I
there's so
just do
many
plain old Epsom salt. That's
Epsom salt magnesium. Okay. Okay.
yeah. Because
And
I was
be
told
careful which ones you buy, because some of them have,
no ingredients.
junk in them. So like, like I know somebody bought me one once and it was like a
For
lavender.
clearance.
And then when you turned it over, there's just a bunch of garbage in the ingredients. So just look before you buy it, please turn it over, read the ingredients. The less is better.
Yeah.
Less.
Put your own essential oils in, like if you feel like you need to, but you really don't need them.
Yeah.
But I was told by my geneticist that that was the absolute best way to absorb magnesium because it goes up like the soles of your feet and it absorbs better than like through your intestines. So that's why I've been doing it since she told me like
Yeah, in functional, I recommend that when people have any kind of, again, I'm just going to call it toxin. In
yeah,
functional, that could be mold, heavy metals, limes, some weird bacteria, some weird virus, parasites. It's just weird stuff that we can call them, I call them all opportunistic stuff where hey, yeah, you might have some food
ugh,
sensitivities
yeah,
and a leaky gut, but there's some other opportunistic things going on here taking over your host. So Epsom
yeah, and
salts,
it
heavy
feels
metals, all
good.
that stuff.
Yeah, it feels good. It's relaxing. Like I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Carrying it's the problem.
But
Carrying it's the problem because I have a big wooden bowl I use. So once you fill it up with water, I'm like, maybe I'm just going to do this in the bathroom. Uh, so the first one I'm going to talk about is allium cepa, and that is made from onion. So imagine any symptoms that you would get from cutting an onion. So eyes are watering, nose is running, it's burning. You can also be sensitive to light and have itchy eyes. And like a watery discharge, and that's allium cepa. I don't get any of that, so I've never used that one, but I believe yeah, it's the first one in this allergy com. And that's why I do like these because you know what it is? They do lower potency, so it's a little more gentle of a lot of things. So
yeah,
it's like a broad spectrum, but like not as strong. But if it's effective, that's all that matters. In this one, it's allium cepa, ambrosia, euphrasia, histaminum, sabadia, and salatigo. But yeah, I give these to my dog actually. My dogs are all hooked up with homeopathy, but he gets itchy eyes and I feel so bad for him. But they also make what was it that you said? Sinus calm, which is
yeah.
like a different blend, and then the cold calm.
I
Um,
buy the sinus calm. I keep it in my purse, and I try to take one a day as a
yeah, when you have the
preventative,
pressure,
or
right?
right when that symptom starts. Really, I should say that's not my preventative. Right when that symptom starts. Um, Yeah, because I
Mhm.
just get pressure and I get
Yeah,
that drip. I don't know where that drip comes from. I guess the sinuses are producing mucus or something, but that's my problem. And you can't
yeah.
get to it. There's no
There's
blowing it
some
out or getting rid of it.
there's some in here that do mention the sinus pain. So we'll get that. Maybe something in there can help you too. Okay, so apis is for swelling, edema, like things that are like, you can kind of tell when you have swelling, if it's like a watery swelling, because it's like heavy. That's more for what apis is for. And it can also help with allergic dermatitis. And it can also treat anaphylaxis in a pinch. And I know that's not seasonal, but I just want to mention it because if you have it and you are prone to anaphylactic reactions, that's what I use when I have an anaphylactic reaction is Apis, and I also use aconite because aconite is good for anything that comes on suddenly, but it also helps like regulate palpitations and things like that. And then there's histaminum or histaminum, depending on how you want to say it. And that actually helps with the overproduction of histamine. It's good for nasal congestion, asthma, allergy symptoms from hay fever, and it also helps with hives. So that's a good one also for mast cell disorder for people that have things that are popping up. And it would take place of like a Zyrtec or something. There's euphrasia, and that is abundant, irritating eye discharge. Feels like there's sand in your eye. And it also is for sinus, nose and ears that are itchy, swollen, burning, or biting. And I was like, biting, but then you know what? Sometimes I do get this like weird, sharp, like sting in my eye, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's what the biting is that they're
Yeah,
describing.
that would have been good for me as a kid.
Yeah, euphrasia. And then there's Wyethia. Wyethia. It's Wyethia, and that's for the tickle in the back of your throat, or like in the back of your nose and your palate. Feels dry. It's scratchy, like right now. I don't think I've done a podcast where I didn't have to cough.
Yeah, you got some mucus.
I think it's my vocal cord issues, you know.
Yeah.
Things get loosened up. But it's also a dry cough and it's for allergic asthma. So that's Wyethia. And then let me get to the other ones. Oh, Sabadia. This is Sabadilla. And it's for sneezing fits. So I don't really get that either, thank God. But I do know people like my husband gets them, and he'll sneeze 20 times in a row, and it's like,
Wow.
really?
Yeah.
Some people are just prone to that. This is for especially for nose symptoms. There could be discharge. There's no burning with this one. And you're better for being out in the open air, and that helps improve the symptoms. And there could be pain in the forehead, which, okay, yeah, I do get that sometimes. If I do have sinus pressure, it's in my forehead. So that's always good to keep in mind, Sabadia. And then there's Natmar, which I mentioned before was the cell salt, but it also comes in potencies as a homeopathic.
Oh,
The cell salt wasn't enough for you, you can go up in potency. And that's for watery discharge, the nose or the eyes, sneezing, worse in the morning. Running nose alternates with stuffiness. It'll help with the tickle in the throat. And it also actually treats depression. So if anybody has that issue too, if you want to do two birds with one stone. And then like I mentioned before about it dealing with like fluid issues for people that have chapped lips or dry skin, dry cough. And then it says better by evenings with cold and open air or pressure. So if those things are something that help improve your symptoms, that helps you pick that remedy. And then there's arsenicum, and that's the last one. And I like arsenicum because it literally treats everything. Like my mom and dad, I've been helping them treat their dog. And first we dealt with Lyme, and that was part of the Lyme protocol. Now he has diarrhea. It treats that too. And then he has a cough, and I'm like, works for that too. So it's called a polycrest, and there's I don't know how many polycrests, but there's just certain remedies like arnica, and there's a bunch of others that treat such a multitude of symptoms. But arsenicum is good in this case because it's good for congestion, nose and ears, throat. It's itchy, puffy, watery, or runny. So, I mean, it really covers a lot. So, say, you can't get all of the remedies, this one's good to cover, a lot of different things and have on hand all the time. And actually, I'm gonna mention it in the next one for asthma because it covers that too. So, and that's it. And that was just seasonal allergies. Like I had to separate the food allergies and like all that other stuff because that's like there's enough for like a different podcast with that.
Yeah, we will. We'll cover all these different allergies
Mhm.
and issues that people are struggling with.
Yeah, I just figured
Did
with the
you-
timing, this was the time of year to get this one. People are suffering right now.
yeah, we figured we'd hit
And
this one.
yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
read in the news or in the research that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read, and I don't have it, I should have looked it up. Forgive me, I should have had it right here. But that some of these allergy medicines, like you mentioned Zyrtec, they lead to memory issues later in life.
Oh, I don't think Zyrtec's one of them. Benadryl and the
Benadryl.
other one that I took every day for 10 years, hydroxyzine. The
Okay. It's
ones
the one
that
that it's the ones that have the some of the ones that are like locked up in the counter and you have to go in and get them.
are they now? I don't know.
I
It's
think
been
they
that
lock
long
them
since I
up
bought them.
because they're addictive, right?
I'm trying to
Ones with
think
the
of
D at the
what
end of them.
anticholinergic. It's the anticholinergics. I couldn't think of the word and I
Okay.
was like, oh geez, but it came into my head, so I
It's
yelled it
not the
out.
basic low ones. It's those heavier ones. Probably like
It
the Sudafed that I took my whole took my childhood.
I'm worried because I took them every day for 10 years. And I mean, although I mean, I forget words, but I just hope that I stopped enough, like soon enough that I don't have that problem. Cause I really, really, I mean, I had to, I didn't have a choice, but they did say, listen, we're going to switch you off of that Benadryl because they never really wanted me to take Benadryl every day because they didn't want me to get immune to it so that when I had an anaphylactic reaction, it wouldn't work. So that's why they put me on hydroxyzine, which is like the same effect. And they're both anticholinergics. And then like a few years into my treatment, then they were like, okay, let's switch that out for Zyrtec. And I mean, it did work. But I didn't know that what I was doing was just suppressing all my symptoms and it was actually just making things worse as things went along, because
Yeah.
then we needed other medications, you
Yeah,
know.
we should touch upon, I think we touched upon that beginning. We should circle back is the fact that um it's not that we're here to tell you get off medications. Christine and I would never do that. We legally can't do that either. Um, we're not trying to treat you. What we're trying to do is through our experiences, especially mine with major seasonal allergies, brought me to chiropractic, which chiropractic brought me to functional. So, and I will be getting certified in homeopathic. I've been using it my whole life, but I want to learn how to use it, at the level she's using it. So like it
Right.
brings you full circle. But my point is some of these medications, what they do, we talked about this, is they do two things. They're going to downregulate something, meaning they're going to suppress the body's ability to do it itself. And that's not health. You want
Mm-mm.
the body to be able to deal with, and I talk about this all the time with like heavy metals and molds and parasites. You want your body to be able to deal with stuff. Um,
Yeah.
the other
And
thing is some of these meds turn things completely off. It's not just down regulating, it's literally shutting off a pathway, shutting off an enzyme. So your body just does, and those
yeah,
PPIs are horrible. Your body
I
just
gained
doesn't
a
produce acid.
Yeah, and I gained a tremendous amount of weight on those allergy medications and found that the other people in my support groups that were taking them, they all had the same problem. And so, like, who wants to go down that road if you don't have to when you can treat it with something else? But by stuffing down all those symptoms, now I have asthma and we're treating that. And then, oh, now we need, the inhalers and the steroids, and now we're suppressing the immune system, and now we're sick even more often. Like, I didn't know until I went to school for homeopathy that that's what I was doing all those years. And I learned in the academy from Joette that like you don't take people off their medicine. Like I took my medicine along with the remedies. And then what happens is you're doing so well, you don't need the medicine anymore. And then you can go to your doctor and talk to them if you feel like, you
Exactly.
need their input on just like, you know what, I don't think I need as much anymore. And then maybe they could lower your dose or whatever. I felt confident because of the education I was getting and because I had done it for so long that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to pull back slowly and like cut back to like every other day or cut my dose in half or whatever way you want to do it. But I would consult your doctor. if you're not sure what you're doing. But yeah, we don't ever tell people not to take their medicine. Just take the, natural things along with it, and suddenly you're not even gonna need it. That's what is the ideal situation, and what happened for me. The blood pressure thing is still the last one I'm on, and that's, I think, the hardest to get off of because your body becomes dependent. But I'm working on that with like the protocol. So like every day I take the remedies for it. I mean, it seems to be getting better.
Yeah.
Good.
That's a great point before we wrap it up. We're getting, next podcast will be about the asthma part of it. But that's a great point because even when I work with patients, and let's say we're doing thyroid, I don't take them off the medication and say, hey, try this natural approach. We have to do the natural approach. And then when, they're getting tested and they start seeing the numbers change, even
Yes.
cholesterol stuff, right? Diets and Lipitor and all that stuff. And the doctors go, I did this with diabetes, and they start seeing the numbers get better. That's when the doctor will lower the dosage and go, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, and that's how it works. It's a relationship. We work with the MDs. We're not working against them. So
Yeah.
this is also beautiful.
Yeah. And it's possible. That's I just want everybody to know what's possible.
Yeah.
So that's why,
here.
I should say, I don't think I said it this week, but this is not medical advice. I'm just sharing for educational purposes only. I'm not giving out like potencies and frequencies because that is something that you should work with a homeopath or take classes at least to learn how to do it yourself. I just want to tell you about the different remedies so that you know what they do, what's possible, and give you food for thought.
And me too. I agree. If you need further help, just reach out to one of us. But
Yeah.
this is for you to understand that there's other ways. I learned it younger, but I didn't know it. And it's a journey for me. So it's a journey for all of us. So
Yeah.
we just want to let you know that there's other things out there for allergies, seasonal allergies.
Yeah. I wish I knew 10, 20 years ago because my life could have been completely different. So if I can help somebody get to that end goal quicker, that's the whole point. So,
Amen.
And if you don't know what you're doing and you're not sure and whatever, there's always these like
I love those.
you say, yeah, they just read the back and see what they say. They explain what each one does. So.
And you can Google it too. If you want to start off small, you can Google like homeopathic remedy for, and then be very specific to the symptom that you're having or your child's having. I'm not saying ignore medical advice. I'm just saying you could do this. You could look this up. Like, so, it's like
And
runny
also,
nose, and the runniness is green versus white versus yellow.
yes,
They're specific.
color.
They ask you specific questions, and then you match the remedy to the symptom.
Yes, and color matters.
Yeah, we're talking about with that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next podcast, which I'm trying to figure out where to shut this off, which we hope to be asthma. See you then. Bye.
Bye, guys.